My name is Bethany, and I am doing my presentation on homicide death investigations. So, what is homicide? The Google definition states it is the deliberate and unlawful killing of one person by another, i.e., murder. It can be justified in self-defense or if you're defending somebody else. And there's two forms, murder and manslaughter, and we'll get into the differences between those in a bit. Also, disclaimer, I did not put any graphic photos on here. So, unattended versus attended. This is in reference to the victim who passed away. Attended is essentially meaning that the victim had a medical condition causing their death, and so they're under the care of a doctor. So, if somebody has cancer and they pass away from cancer, that would be considered an attended death. Unattended, obviously, is the opposite. The individual doesn't have any preconditions that cause their death. All of those deaths will be investigated by law enforcement, and an autopsy is also required for all of them. There is also a difference between civil versus criminal in terms of murder or manslaughter, any type of death charge, essentially. So for criminal, again, like murder and manslaughter charges, they'll offer criminal punishments. So however many years spent in prison, maybe some fines, no probation, stuff like that. Standard of proof is the highest. It's beyond a reasonable doubt. For civil, it's a wrongful death claim. So, and those offer monetary punishments. That means punitive damages. It's the monetary punishment is to cause harm to the offender through a monetary way. The standard of proof is significantly lower. It's only a preponderance of the evidence. Murder. So first degree murder, it's the most serious, criminal homicide. It's both intentional and premeditated. However, I put a quote here that says, when there's a lack of premeditation, but the killer intended to kill, the homicide may draw a second degree murder instead of first degree, or voluntary manslaughter charges, depends on the state. Manslaughter, the illegal killing that falls short of murder. So there's two types, involuntary and voluntary. Involuntary, you didn't intend to kill anyone, but you still killed the victim through behavior that was either criminally negligent or reckless. Voluntary is the offender did not have a prior intent to kill, but it's that heat of the passion that caused them to kill. The picture I put here is a guy drinking, so obviously he had DUI. You get into a car accident because of alcohol in your system, you cause somebody else to die, that would be involuntary manslaughter. Self-defense, this is the justified killing of another, but it's not an excuse. So insanity is an excuse for killing somebody else. It doesn't make the killing justified though. The most common case is when police officers are defending themselves in the line of duty. Say someone pulled a gun on them, they started firing shots at them. The police officer needs to fire shots back in order to eliminate the threat. Once the threat is eliminated, day before life-saving measures, person passed away, still considered self-defense. Citizens can also defend themselves as well as their peers. So again, the picture showing this guy is coming to this guy's house with a knife. The homeowner has a gun. He's ready to defend himself because he's in fear for his life. That is a justified killing. You can also help defend somebody else who maybe isn't capable of defending themselves. This can be a family friend or a stranger, whatever. It still would be considered self-defense because that person's in fear for their lives. You could still be in fear for your own life. And so you're defending both you and the person, or maybe just the person, but it still is self-defense and considered justifiable. Autopsies and what they determine. So again, as previously stated, in unattended deaths, so homicide, an autopsy is always required. And they determine quite a bit. I wasn't able to fit everything on here, but I fit kind of the main things. They need to identify the person, the cause of death, mechanism of death, like the weapon, or maybe an underlying disease that no one knew was there, stuff like that. Confirm the manner of death, medical history, if they have medical history. They have to take pictures of the wounds. That's kind of like the basic crime scene investigator part, is taking photos. Establish the direction of force, so the sequence of events, obtain and examine trace evidence, as well as the toxicology report. And so all of that, plus more, helps the medical examiner determine what exactly happened to the victim. So, response to the death investigation, again, like the CSI has to perform the basic crime scene investigative steps. So, as previously mentioned, like documentation, notes, photos, you're marking the crime scene, you're sketching out the evidence, you're sketching out the scene, you're collecting the evidence, you're wearing the proper PPE, and you're preserving the evidence that you've collected, as well as maintaining the chain of custody, so you know who found the evidence, where it went, how it was packaged, all of that. Additional responsibilities, especially in terms of homicide, is they need to take medium range as well as close-up photos of the victim's body and the location of the body. Searching the scene for a suicide note, maybe a letter to family and friends. Again, as previously mentioned, any medicine that is found at the scene, this will help the medical examiner who's performing the autopsy, like figure out, okay, well, if they had a medical condition, like maybe this is why they died, stuff like that. Or it could be an overdose, so who knows. Document the name of the family physician and collect all paperwork related to the medical condition. Again, that is important for the autopsy and the medical examiner. They need to note the temperature of the residence. So there's obviously 3 things listed under here that help with the temperature of the residence, and like in terms of determining the temperature at the time of death. So the AC settings, ceiling fans, windows, all of this helps with, again, determining the time of death and the state of rigor mortis and like how that occurred. Bloodstain patterns obviously need to be documented, photographed, and analyzed. So you need to figure out, okay, well, is the pattern consistent with mechanism of death? Is the location consistent where the victim is, or has the victim been moved? As well as examine the inside of the hands for blood or like in gunshot deaths. So like if you're covering your face when you get shot or something, maybe you're going to have wounds on your hands. So there could be, obviously blood on your hands, but there could be gunshot residue there. And that is all. So this is just my references.